Sodom, but no Gomorrah? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom. So this is a movie donation reward for Venom, and I know very little about this movie. In fact, almost nothing. I know that it's supposedly a brutal movie. I don't know to what degree or how or anything, but I've heard that it's a pretty brutal one that was actually banned in various places. Which, mind you, might not be that brutal for most of it, comparative to other things, because it's like there are some movies out there that are it's almost surprising weren't banned, and then there are other movies that it's like that were banned, and you watch them, it's like, that wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. But it was still bad. It was still like crazy, but just maybe not as much as I expected, considering it was a banned movie and all. Um, I I also have heard this compared to Snowpiercer, but I don't know like in what way the comparison is made. See, I was watching a reaction from Cinebinge. They're another reaction channel on YouTube here. Um, and they put up a reaction to Snowpiercer. I love Snowpiercer, so I of course watched the reaction. And one of them said in the video that this was reminding them of Salò, and didn't explain in what way, to my knowledge, unless I missed something. Of course, with it also being cut up, maybe there was more explanation for that in the full version. But I'm not gonna go onto their Patreon just to find that out. Plus, I mean, maybe I don't want to find out the specifics. But either way, it was compared to that, and I'm like, I have this on my, I have this movie on my donation rewards list. It was requested already, so why not get to that? It was literally because of that Snowpiercer reaction that I decided to do that today. That I decided to pre-record that for this week. So that's interesting in and of itself, I guess I would say. So yeah, I know that it's brutal. I know that it was a banned movie, and it's been compared to Snowpiercer. That's basically the extent of my knowledge. Now, let's look at the title. So Salò. There's one other thing I know. Hold on. Before we get to the title, I also know that the director of this movie was murdered 3 weeks before the movie came out. I did hear about that. I heard about that a while back. I don't remember if the movie had already been requested or if I heard about this before the movie was requested, but it is something I had heard about. The director of the film was murdered. I don't know why or how or any details. I just know he was murdered 3 weeks before the film came out, and it kind of makes me curious a little bit as to like why, by who, like what. That's pretty insane to think about. But it makes me even more curious to see this now. But yeah, I almost forgot I did know that too. But yeah, let's go back to the title. So Salò, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It has like the little like, it has one of the symbols over the lettering. I don't know what all the symbols are called. I'm sorry, I don't. So it's definitely not just said Salò or anything like that. So that's why I've been kind of injecting a little bit of an accent into it. Because it feels like that's probably how it's pronounced. But I'm not 100% sure. I think it's Italian. I think I've heard this movie is Italian, but I'm not confident on that. So I wouldn't say I know that, but if it is Italian, Salò sounds pretty correct to me, based off of the little bit of Italian that I have heard in other things. Mind you, I'm not an expert, so take anything I say with a grain of salt. And I apologize about anything that I get wrong with that. So that doesn't tell me anything. I don't know if what that means or anything like that. So let's look at the rest of the title, or the 120 Days of Sodom. So Sodom instantly makes me think of Sodom and Gomorrah. For those of you who are not Christian and might just not know about the story, Sodom and Gomorrah is a story from the Bible in which there's these two towns that are destroyed because of their inhospitable actions towards others. There's a lot of people who will try to claim it was because of homosexuality, but that's literally not the case. That is just blatantly not true. And in reality, it's because of how they treated others who had like come to stay with them and everything. A lot of terrible shit that I, you know, don't necessarily want to get into here. But their inhospitable attitudes are, that's the basic way to put it, is what got them destroyed. And you know, the entire story of Lot's wife looking back on the destruction and being turned into a pillar of salt, there's that entire aspect too. Because they were told not to look back and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But the idea of Sodom and Gomorrah is basically two sinful, inhospitable, terrible places filled with terrible people. And 120 days of Sodom. So 120 days of cruel mistreatment and inhospitality. That's kind of what that gives to me to work with. Because if it is supposed to be referencing Sodom and Gomorrah, that's the kind of vibes I would get from that. Inhospitality, like vile attitudes towards others, mistreatment of others. And that could lead to a bunch of different ideas of what this movie could be about. Because vile mistreatment of others is unfortunately vague. It could mean a lot of things, which is really unfortunate and really sad, but it's unfortunately true. I'm saying unfortunately a lot. Yeah, vile mistreatment can come in many different forms, and it sucks that human beings are like this, but it's very realistic. And some of the horror stories I've heard about real life events, it just makes my blood boil, honestly. So, 120 days. Now let's look at that aspect. That's 4 months, right? Because approximately, because there's about 30 days in a month, depending on the month, of course. And 30 times 2 is 60. 60 times 2 is 120, so it'd be 4 months. Approximately. That's a long time to be, you know, mistreated in, again, whatever form that comes in. Like, even a month is a long time to be in that kind of situation. So, what I'm getting from this title, again, I don't know what Salò means, but what I'm getting from it is 120 days, approximately 4 months of one or more people, it's very unclear, of course, being horribly mistreated, probably from some sort of inhospitable situation. So maybe something to do with like someone coming to stay somewhere and then being like, you know, abused in something. That could be, that could kind of be it. But the thing is, I have to take into account that this movie was a banned movie too, which means it probably has a good amount of horrific violence in it, probably a lot of blood and gore, and is probably very hard to watch. which it amazes me that Terrifier 2 wasn't banned. Of course, maybe it was in some countries. I don't know. But yeah, so taking that into account, maybe someone is tortured for 120 days, because that could kind of go into that. Like someone goes to stop and stay somewhere, could be a hotel, could be a family member's house, and they end up being, you know, like tortured and kept in a, I don't know, a basement or something for 120 days. Probably shows graphic detail of it. That's the only things I can get from this title. That's the only things I can veer off of that. Maybe I'm completely fucking wrong. I don't know. I honestly would kind of hope that I'm very wrong. It would be nice to be wrong about that. Um, Especially because torture can come in so many different ways and can be so aggressively hard to watch. Because there's not only just like physical and mental torture, but there's psychological torture, which is a little more than just general mental and emotional torture. There's sexual torture, which is probably one of the worst. I mean, they're all very fucking awful, obviously, but there's something like especially upsetting and gruesome about sexual torture. Um, Maybe that's it then. Which, I mean, mind you, I don't really want to see, but I mean, I've already said in the past I'm willing to check out anything, and I mean, I'm willing to give everything a chance. So I dug myself I dug myself my own grave there. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, going off of the title and just basing it off of, you know, my own standard knowledge of things. Hell, for all I know, I just might be completely wrong. Maybe this is something more akin to Midsummer. I would probably be better with that. I don't know. It's always kind of fun to try and figure out a movie based on a title, though. Especially a title that's like not as vague as other ones might be, but more akin to telling you something about the film, but not exactly giving details. So you have to try and figure it out yourself based on context clues and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, uh, I guess there's nothing else to do but just get this going. We'll see how correct or how wrong I am based on what I could gather from this. And again, just basing off the title might not even be a good idea. It might be completely wrong or misleading. So who knows? But let's find out. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we're back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I don't know what I'm supposed to say at this. I genuinely don't. Like, I mean, I literally, I had to go and puke because I couldn't stomach it. And it was more than just the shit eating. It was a lot of it, most of it, practically all of it. It's just that just kind of sent it over the edge for me. Sorry if I'm being quiet. I hope I'm not. I just don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Like, I there's a certain point where it's like I understand like requesting like a messed up movie to see how I'll react, to see what I'll say about it, like the messages or themes or political shit or whatever. I understand that, but there's a point where it gets to be to a degree where I don't know what to say. I mean, like the vast majority of that movie, I felt I was being silent, not just quiet, but silent, because I felt like if I opened my mouth to speak half the time, I would puke, and I don't know like what the reaction was like intended to be here. Like, what am I supposed to take from this? There's not even anything like for me to get from this. I don't I I don't know if they were talking about a different movie when watching um when Cinnabinge did their reaction for what, I'm blanking completely. Snowpiercer. I don't know if they were talking about a different movie, but I don't see the connection here. I really don't. Like Snowpiercer had some messed up stuff in it, but not like this. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I briefly looked some shit up, I guess, and it's not based off a true story or anything, but it's like based off a book, and apparently is like I guess supposed to be a message about fascism and stuff like that. I don't know. The thing is, like, there's a lot of movies that are really messed up that it's like you can tell it's supposed to be a message about something. This just comes across as a fucked up movie for the sake of being a fucked up movie. It doesn't come across as like trying to get across any kind of message. It's just torture porn for the sake of torture porn. It's it's not worthwhile to watch. It doesn't give you anything. It doesn't enlighten you or anything. It's 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 a waste of time to watch. It just there you get nothing out of it. I've seen a lot of movies with a lot of torture, gore, nudity, even sexual assault and stuff like that. But it's like I've never seen anything like this, and I pray I don't again. Like I'm not even exaggerating when I say that this is the most upset I've been after watching anything. I'm I don't even know if I can put this on 100 free. Probably not. Probably gonna have to put this on Mega. Just to be safe. I don't know what else to say. I genuinely don't. I have no opinions on like the quality of the filmmaking or acting. I have no thoughts here that give anything. I just I'm just glad it's over. I guess I could say that. I don't understand why anyone would watch this. I don't understand why anyone would make this. There is no value to this movie. If any movie deserved to be lost to history and to become completely lost media, have every copy of it in the world burned and purged, this would be it. I'm done. See y'all next time.